Welcome back, college philosophy students. We've got a seriously fascinating analysis lined up for this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the mind of one of the 19th century's most influential and, let's be honest, most controversial thinkers out there, Friedrich Nietzsche. Whether you're actively wrestling with his texts for a seminar right now, or you're just trying to wrap your head around modern existential thought, this explainer is built to break down his core concepts visually and clearly. Let's get right into it.
We're going to kick things off with a massive question, one that sits right at the very heart of his work. How do we find meaning when traditional values fade? I mean, really think about that philosophical void for a second. What actually happens to a society and to you as an individual when the traditional moral compass we've all relied on for centuries just begins to break down? Because this is the exact crisis Nietzsche saw unfolding in the modern world.
So here's our roadmap for this analysis. 1. Friedrich Nietzsche, an introduction. 2. Morality and the death of God. 3. The Übermensch. 4. The will to power. And 5. Nietzsche's core teachings.
Section 1. Friedrich Nietzsche, an introduction. The philologist turned philosopher.
Okay, let's dive into his background real quick. Born in 1844 in Rücken, Germany, Nietzsche was just off the charts intelligent from a very young age. Actually, his academic brilliance was so profound that he became a university professor of philology, the study of language and literature, at a remarkably young age. But life threw him a curveball. Severe health issues forced him to walk away from his teaching career in midlife. But honestly, this pivot, it was absolutely crucial. Leaving academia gave him the freedom to dedicate all his time to profound philosophical writing. That's when we get heavy hitters like Thus Spoke Zarathustra and Beyond Good and Evil. He passed away in 1900, but his influence, it practically exploded after his death, deeply shaping modern philosophy, literature, and psychology as we know it today.
Section 2. Morality and the Death of God. Challenging traditional values.
So Nietzsche didn't just write philosophy, he essentially took a sledgehammer to the established norms of his time. He was convinced that traditional moral rules were just being blindly accepted out of sheer tradition. He argued, hey, we shouldn't just inherit our morals, we've got to actively test them through rigorous, independent questioning. And that relentless questioning, it leads us to arguably his most famous and definitely his most jarring statement, God is dead. Now, as philosophy students, it's vital we look at this text objectively. We aren't looking at a theological declaration here, but rather a profound sociological observation made by a thinker watching the cultural landscape shift right beneath his feet.
Now, what's really interesting here is how frequently this quote is misinterpreted as the announcement of some literal, physical event. But Nietzsche's actual meaning, it was entirely about the decline of religious influence in modern society. He was simply pointing out that traditional religious beliefs were losing their cultural authority. And the critical consequence of this, the real so what, is that mankind is now forced to search for entirely new values to anchor human existence.
Section 3. Übermensch, concept of Superman, the ultimate human potential.
Right, so if the old values are fading, what replaces them? This brings us to the reconstruction phase of our explainer. Having dismantled the old traditions, Nietzsche offers up his ultimate conceptual solution to fill that philosophical void we talked about earlier. Enter the Übermensch. Sometimes translated as Superman or Overman, it's defined academically as the ideal humanity that transcends societal norms to create its own values and reach its full potential. And I want to be super clear on this. Forget about comic book heroes in capes, okay? In an academic context, the Übermensch represents a profound, rigorous journey of the self. It's essentially an evolutionary goal for humanity, a state of being where a person rises way above the herd mentality and takes total, unapologetic responsibility for creating their own moral framework.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Like, how does one strive toward this ideal? Well, the Übermensch is committed to continuously improving oneself. They actively challenge personal and societal limits, and they strive to fully develop their capabilities. Look, this isn't some passive state of being. It requires intense, grueling discipline. Nietzsche's philosophy demands continuous self-mastery. You don't just, wake up one day as the Übermensch. You have to forge yourself into one through relentless effort and the sheer courage to stand apart from the crowd.
Section 4. Will to power, the drive to create meaning.
Let's move along and see how this all builds. If the Übermensch is our destination, well, we need an engine to get us there, right? We need a foundational psychological drive. The will to power is exactly that, the fundamental human motivation to progress, overcome obstacles, and make life deeply meaningful. Now, as philosophy students, please note a huge pitfall here. The will to power gets constantly misunderstood as some desire for political domination or tyranny over others. But based on the text, we absolutely have to frame it existentially.
It is an internal psychological drive. It's that raw desire for personal growth, for overcoming yourself, and for asserting your own creative energy onto the world around you.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core idea. It is ultimately the deepest inspiration to advance, create, and forge purpose. It's that unquenchable spark inside you that flat out refuses to settle for the status quo. When traditional values collapse, it's your will to power that inspires you to step up and create new, life-affirming values in their place. Think of it as the ultimate creative and driving force within us all, constantly pushing us toward the ideal of the Übermensch.
Section 5. Nietzsche's core teachings, applying the philosophy. We've covered some seriously heavy, abstract concepts today. The death of God, the Übermensch, the will to power. But listen, Nietzsche wasn't just theorizing in a vacuum. He wanted these ideas to be lived. So let's distill his vast philosophy into an actionable framework you can actually use. Consider this your philosophical toolkit. Number 1, think independently and test every single idea you encounter. 2, do not blindly accept tradition just because it's quote-unquote what has always been done. 3, face life's challenges head-on instead of running from them. 4, cultivate self-discipline, which is absolutely essential for self-mastery. 5, discover your own meaning. Seriously, don't wait around for society to hand it to you. And finally, embrace creativity and courage as the rock-solid foundations of human development. When you step back, this entire philosophy is really a story of independent thought and daring to challenge established beliefs.
As we wrap up this analysis, I want to leave you with one final thought, kind of turning Nietzsche's intense philosophical lens directly onto you. Have you discovered your own life's purpose? I know, it's a massive, heavy question, but as we've seen throughout this explainer, it is the exact question Nietzsche demands we answer for ourselves. You have the will to power within you. The challenge right now is to actually use it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, keep questioning everything.